Here.
Bill Crouch,
Here.
Mary Langdon,
Here.
Alex Crawford here. Was the meeting duly noticed?
Yes.
Okay. I have an amendment to the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add decision regarding healthcare plans offered to full-time employees.
Second. I'd like to make an amendment to the agenda. Oh, sorry.
Not that. Okay, those in favor?
That's just for that one.
That's for, yeah, no, that's here.
Yeah, aye.
I know.
Aye.
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 All right, since we have such a robust agenda, I'd like to make a motion that we move number 5, motion to suspend usage for members whose accounts are over 90 days delinquent. That's done every April. I'd like to make that the first motion under new business. It'll be quick.
Okay.
The others I think will take time, so that one should be a no-brainer, I think.
Aye, second. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so that's number 1. Remind me what we did.
I also have a motion to amend the agenda for the approval of the minutes. December 12th needs to be changed to December 2nd. March 19th needs to be moved, is March 10th. They were just a misprint on the agenda.
Okay, I second. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, can we have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is approved as amended. Okay, we come to the minutes. Are you waiting to, oh.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to, number 4, can we get that one here?
I'm sorry?
Number 4. Approval of the minutes.
Okay,
You were working on that in my code, correct?
I think that's next.
that's next on the agenda.
Okay. You're gonna go with the agenda first.
Approval of the agenda, you need to correct your Pepper Drive, 2506. It was a misprint also.
That's too
Okay,
fast.
I think that's actually what I got.
I don't forget that.
Okay, everybody, everybody, can you make a motion to?
I make a motion that on architectural variances B, the correct address is 2506 Pepper Drive.
I second. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so let's approve the amended again agenda. Okay, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I second the motion.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we come to the approval of the minutes, right?
Will somebody turn that music down, because it's hard to hear? Thank you.
And actually, I think we have on the PowerPoint the correct date, is it correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not November 13th, it's November 11th.
No, it's November 13th, not November 11th.
That was wrong.
Okay. We're done with the agenda then. Many times amended, okay. If nobody has any objections, I'll take these on block. Does anyone have any objections? Does anyone want a single minutes taken out, looked at separately?
No?
No? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes?
I second the motion.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I was looking at the.
Yeah, I was looking at you, I was hoping there'd be something.
I was looking at the architectural stuff.
Okay, any discussion? No?
2.5 hours a week.
Those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, the minutes of November 13th, December the 2nd, January the 2nd, February the 10th, February the 19th, March the 5th, March the 10th, March the 12th, and April the 8th. Hopefully I didn't miss any, are approved. And those are all out on the website. Okay. You wanna,
What website?
yeah,
hollybythesea.org.
go on.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sorry.
I want to discuss the approval of the minutes that you had, and you passed it. I know I'm standing here and people don't see me, but I haven't seen the minutes since November. And I think the members have a right to know why we have a secretary. Why did it take 7 months to put out minutes? That is unacceptable. I'm not blaming either of you. I'm just saying that as a group, we expect a lot more on the board. We mean the membership. The covenants require you to produce minutes. 7 months is unacceptable. Could you, or any of you, tell me why it took you 7 months to produce minutes? Now, I'm gonna give you a little history. I went to the secretary, she's not here to defend herself, God bless her. And I asked for a reason why she hadn't produced the minutes. She said I was harassing her. That's my right to ask for minutes. I need to know as a member. So I didn't email her again. I think that's wrong. A secretary is responsible for doing the minutes. And we should have to go through some of these numbers here and not seeing the actual minutes until now. I know there were, she told me, well, I put out 40-something pages. Ain't no way in hell you need 40-something pages for one board meeting. That's not good. And going back, changing them. Yes, Alex, I'll tell it. You and I had some issues when it came to the minutes. You got in there and you're trying to fix them. But from November until now, for a board not to produce minutes is not a good thing. We can do better.
I agree.
And I think owe the association members an apology for being late, this late. Now, if it was like January, things happen. But from November, come on, y'all owe us something. Other than just saying you're gonna approve it. That's not right. You gotta do better. Thank you.
Thank you. All of the minutes, except the last minute, were posted on the old First Service website. Obviously now that's gone away, so we posted the old minutes and the new minutes. But yeah, I absolutely agree that that's too long. And Madam Secretary, it'll be right in there.
I know, as soon as I got my hands on them, they got started working on them. So, I mean, we got through them as fast as we could, but.
That's true. You could have done them any quicker or any better.
So thank you, Madam Secretary, for taking that backload and clearing it. So we are now up to date.
We are now up to date.
Okay, and I apologize to the members, that was wrong, we should have had to wait for as long as we've had to wait. Okay, thank you all. Okay, can I have the officers' reports?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I've probably been to a lot of a meeting since the board has appointed the new members, and I have yet to see Mary here. Does she travel for work, or she's just a
Mary's
telecommuter?
Mary's mother's died,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah. And
Okay.
she's, in California for the funeral.
Okay. I was just curious,
And I
because
think
I've
I-
never seen her here, and
I think I did say that the last
You did
meeting we
not.
had.
You
I
did.
don't remember
Oh, okay.
otherwise. If I would've heard it, I would've definitely remembered it. Okay.
Okay, can we start with Jen? Sure. Quick, when you get
Okay, treasury report, February 20th. Operating cash available, this was up to 228,340,147. Undesignated funds, 617,620. Reserve, total reserve is 950,546, and as you know, we split that out into capital improvement, 317,920, and CDs maturing, 256,833. So I subtract them out, so the actual cash available for projects at 228 is 375,793. Just for an update, I did have it there. The assessments we have received, pretty good number, we have 91%.
good, well done. Do you have a report, Madam Secretary?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a report?
No, ma'am, I'm
Do you have a report, internal VP?
No, I don't.
Okay, I have a report. Okay, the first update is, on John Borderline, on our Greenbelt issues. Okay. There is no news since, he contacted Billy Williams' attorney. He wanted, on behalf of Holly by the Sea, all back taxes paid, before we closed for the, I believe it was 2 parcels of land that he was selling. They wanted us to just go ahead and, approve that. We are now, with all these properties, in the 3rd year of default. Somehow we have to check in person, and I'm looking at Jan and hoping. We need to check with the property tax assessor to see if and when these are gonna be sold at the courthouse steps. Because if that happens, then we lose our, trusteeship and our rights over this property. When the property is closed on, the properties that are in this, they're actually under consideration, which is 2, we get 5% of the price, but we're also adding in, we want all of the properties brought up to date with the taxes. Or at the very minimum, we want the earliest tax year, which is 2012, paid, so that we've got another year of the 3 years. If we want to, John Borland's office can do this. Maybe we should, if Jan would take it on, we've got the list of the properties, but I think it's easier just to contact the property tax assessor for Santa Rosa County.
Is that something like this where, back a long time ago, the same thing?
Yeah, do you remember when we had the wetlands issue, and then there was, Bill got a list of all the properties that were delinquent. Now they're delinquent for 1 more year. So at that time, they were delinquent for 2 years, now they're coming to their 3rd year.
Right.
And he's concerned about that. He's also concerned,
Excuse me, John Borland's concerned?
John Borland's concerned on our behalf. He's concerned that we want to make sure that we have an interest in this, and if there is a tax lien sale, we know about it. Okay?
Madam Secretary, can I ask a question about that? Is
Madam
it,
Secretary?
President, excuse me. Nikki, let's see if I got this right. As trustee of the properties in question, we have no authority to force them to pay at all, or how does this work?
Well, he wants to sell 2 parcels. We have at that point, some authority. And that's what that's what John Woolworth's trying to leverage on Billy Williams.
Right,
But
I
we have to
understand.
protect our interests. If by some chance all these parcels came up, it might be a consideration that we pay the taxes or pay 1 year to preserve our trusteeship of it, so that we can maintain control. But we need to be aware of what's going on. We don't want them sold out from under us.
Did you say, I'm sorry.
So if the property is sold to somebody other than Billy Williams,
We lose the trusteeship.
Did you say Mr. Bordel's had a list, or he has a list?
I have this.
I have a list that I sent to him, so I can send it to you.
Okay,
And then, I don't know what the 2014 taxes are on this,
okay,
but you know the properties, because those are 2 years.
okay.
But
All right.
now it's 3 years. When we did it, the 3rd year was still, due.
Yeah, and I think when we talked about months back,
Yeah,
you said you were gonna make a follow-up for it for about now, I think, so it's.
yeah, this would be the follow-up.
All right, so just go ahead and send it to me, and if I have any problems, can I call Mr. Bordelon, or shall I not do that?
See what the problems are, because this clock is ticking.
Okay.
Okay?
It would seem like to me we already know what the problems are. The problems are the back taxes haven't been paid.
Okay, but what Jen is gonna do, she is gonna find out if there is a tax deed sale. And if there is, or will be, to make sure that we know about it, okay?
So we're saying like tax deed sales pending, we wanna know.
Yeah, when they start to put it up. People bid on these properties, they buy the taxes, and then it's a very good investment. Because to sort of reclaim it, you have to pay the tax plus far more interest than you pay on anything else. Okay, so
And-
I'll get you the list.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you, Jen.
And the reason we wanna know is why, just so that we know,
We
we're not
want-
gonna get in the property business, we're gonna buy these properties.
No, but we might pay the tax to keep for 1 year to be able to keep the trusteeship of these properties. I mean, these are wetlands used for mitigation.
Right.
Okay. Next subject. This is the engineer's update. I think Frank Myers will be, are you gonna do it in the committee? I was gonna just, since you weren't here, I was gonna say, but when we do the committee reports, okay. So, I'm gonna leave that one for Frank. I want to commend the social committee for the Easter egg hunt. All the people who worked stuffing the eggs, I think there was near 1,000 eggs, who planned it, who made the cupcakes, the Easter bunny. Those of you that were here early saw the good things, PowerPoint, saw the kids hunting for the eggs. I mean, it was very, very well attended. So kudos to Denise and the social committee, as usual. Unfortunately, our roof is leaking. Our roof, it was repaired today, and with the rain that we just had, it is still leaking. So tomorrow they will come again and try and repair it again. It's leaking in accounting over Ray Latham's desk. So, we had the plumber, we had the roofing people before we let anybody work. We made sure that we knew exactly what was the problem rather than let a plumber go at it and lose our warranty, but it is the roof. Okay?
I just have a comment, because you probably haven't been down this road before, but I have. Before they do any repairs, you really need to take pictures. And then the other problem is, if you do any work without notifying the other companies, then it becomes a legal issue. We were down this road before. In other words, you can't fix it until you tell the other company that it's leaking and give them the opportunity to repair it.
Right.
Because otherwise you can't sue them if you don't give them the opportunity.
Yeah, that's what we do.
All right.
Hey, Pat,
Yes, sir.
we had an engineering firm that was heading up should they be involved in it?
You're talking about the company that did the work?
It's the flat roof that's leaking, not the new metal.
Are you talking about the,
I'm talking about the engineer that oversaw the roof.
They didn't do the.
excuse me, you have the floor? I'm sorry. There were, all the roofs were done, my understanding, which are the 2 flat roofs and the steel roof. So I'm not sure where it's leaking. And so I'm not sure who you would contact. You'd have to look at the entire contract, see what the scope was.
Okay, another water issue in the middle sink in the men's restroom. There's a leak. The plumber, it's been an ongoing leak. When we came in over the weekend, I mean, it was just leaking out over the bucket that we put in there. It's been slowed a little. The plumber tried to get a part to fix it. The part that can't be found, it's out of date. So we're now looking at a bigger repair in which they'll have to cut the water off, they'll have to go into the wall and fix this sink. So we are trying to get this done Friday in the middle of the day, since the water's going to be cut off. We had the choice of first thing in the morning, but usually if people want to come in and work out in the gym, they probably should have water to shower before they go to work. So we figure the middle of the day. We'll put notices up that if we can get that, just be aware that there will be no water while they turn the water off and fix this leak. But it really is a mess. We need to get it done.
What day? Friday?
But that's what we have
That's
to
what
get.
we're trying to
They've
do.
gone home by the time we called them today. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say something that normally I compliment people all the time. People don't believe that, I do. But I get mine back. I want to compliment Alex, Bill, and the secretary over here for coming in, putting in 16 hours a day, keeping this facility open for our members. That shows that they really care. And I think it was about 4 volunteers helping them. They did an outstanding job, didn't miss a beat, opened on time, closed on time, and was at the front desk up there, smiling, asking people if there's anything they can do to help them and make it better. I think this is the only time I've ever seen a board actually get in here and do what they're supposed to do, run the facility when we don't have a GM. Thank all of y'all. Thank you very much.
Well, Earl, I would like to thank you and the other volunteers who stepped up, who donated their time. Earl, I know, took out trash until we had the custodial people working, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Earl.
And actually with all the employees as well. I mean,
I was coming to.
a lot of them have been putting in a lot of hours. So if you see one of the employees, thank them for what they've been doing to help keep everything going.
Yeah, I would absolutely stress that. New employees that have been hired, we have 2 new custodial people. We have Brittany and Shelley. You want to say Shelley, but it's Shelley, who are taking over the cleaning. We have Yvette on the front desk. We have Carrie, who started today, who is ACC and front desk. And Bryce, lifeguard. Yeah, I think that's everybody. The existing staff have really stepped up, and the new staff that stepped up too.
You missed one maintenance person doing all the work, catching up.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Gordon, but he's not new. But,
Did it by himself.
yeah, no, I include all the staff that are here have gone above and beyond, whether they've had a desk with water dripping down on it or whatever circumstances they've been in.
I'd like to thank you also, but what's the long-term plan? I mean, you guys can't do this forever. You know, working 16 hours or 8 hours or whatever, so maybe you can share your plan with us.
Okay, I also want to make an announcement. We have the new CAN starting on the 22nd. Her name is April Salazar, and she comes to us from Wyndham, where she has overseen, I think, 7 boards, HOA boards. I think she's going to be a great asset to the community. As I say, she starts on the 22nd, and I, for one, am counting down the hours and the minutes until she comes. You're absolutely right, we cannot do this for this length of time. However, in the short term, because we want this to succeed for the membership, I know that myself, my husband, Bill and his wife, we came in and cleaned the facility on Easter Sunday. We want this to work. We are very pleased with the way the staff is stepping up. We are hiring people just as quickly as we can. Unfortunately, Chelsea Mayo, who is pregnant, she had a week's rest per the doctor and has now resigned to stay at home. She doesn't seem to be having too good a time with her pregnancy. However, we have people in the pipeline that we will be interviewing. Katie, who has her director's license for the child care, she will be the child care director. She's certified, they've contacted the state, everything is legal, everything's above board. We have an interview, we have a person to interview tomorrow, and other people in the pipeline. We are advertising, and hopefully we will soon be up to full speed. One thing that delayed us a little in the startup, we, as agreed with the membership when we were going through the HR packets, we're taking the most extensive drug screening panel, and also we're taking a pretty extensive background checking panel. And for some reason, the DMV portion of that seems to take a very, very long time. I mean, some of them have taken more than a week. Some of them have been quicker. As to lifeguards, they take their final part of their test this weekend, and according Glenn and Marsha will be picking lifeguards for the summer as we normally do. We are advertising for the summer camp people like we normally do at this time of the year. So, you know, all that's on track. Normally we don't hire for the summer camp yet. We advertise, it's on the marquee. Go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I'd just like to make a suggestion that since we do have so many new people and so many volunteers, that they start wearing name tags. Because we don't know who they are, and we don't know if they're a volunteer or an employee, and that's just a suggestion I have.
Well, the 2 custodians have got name tags, and they ask for special shirts. So as soon as the can gets here, you know, we brought out the reflective vest, but that just swamped them. So we're going to get them.
Well, especially like the front desk, so we know who we're
Yeah.
talking to, you know, if they're a volunteer or they're an
Sure.
employee, so we have an idea. That's
Yeah,
all.
no, your point's well taken. And we actually recycled the badges that we had. We may have to actually get a few new ones. But, you know, some of, where we have a badge, they've got a badge. Rhonda and Ray have started working with TOPS and the webinar, and I believe Pam was in the session today, and Shelby?
Yep.
Shelby, yeah. Shelby and Carrie, the new sort of half ACC person, half front desk. We are a little handicapped because although First Service promised that we would have the electronic data on the day they left, we have not yet received that data, and this is in the hands of the attorney to make sure we get that data. It has been requested several times, and I think now it's between the attorneys. This data belongs to Holly by the Sea, and we should be having it, but however, Rhonda and Ray are stepping up and going ahead as best they can. With the TOPS software, we should also get an improved website. We have a temporary website right now. I'll let Bill talk about that.
Yeah, the day that First Services left, they turned off their FSR site. So that next day, I took my limited skills at making sure that we had at least a operational website that we could have information up on. Recently, I did post this agenda, and I posted all the minutes from that week that we approved here. We do have Ray Latham, who is breaking out her tools that she used to use to do the website before, and she'll be updating that and making it look a little prettier and putting more information. The plan is to make the hollybythesea.org site a archival site when our new site, which is by athomenet.com, is fully up and running. There'll be a link from that site going to historical data. Getting back to the FSR and the data, the media version of the data that we don't have, fortunately, both Ray and Rhonda and myself were able to get a lot of this backed up prior to the April 3rd date. So we have everything we need to go forward with opening balances with all the accounting software. We have everything we need to keep up with receivables, which we already are. And we have everything pretty much we need. It's just it would make it a lot easier if we had the media from FSR. We may or may not get it. If we get it, it'll make our job a little easier. If we don't get it, we're still able to push forward with the proper accounting methods and the proper accounting data.
I got a quick question since you were discussing volunteers and that sort of thing. I noticed you kept the volunteers to a core group of people that were well known to you, and I appreciate that. Maybe this will be addressed later, and if it is, fine, but I wonder what the go-forward plan for volunteering is and how you're going to manage background checks for those volunteers. There's been a lot of concern and questions. I know that they're members of the organization, but that doesn't preclude them from a background check in order to work around an organization like this with children and such. So I just wonder what your plan is for background checks of volunteers and your go-forward plan.
Our go-forward plan is to replace volunteers with staff. The volunteers are only working the front desk. They're not working with the children. They're not working with the pool. The only information that they're getting on the front desk is when they scan and they see your picture and they see your name. So there's no confidential information. The money is being taken by the staff member that's always with them. So the plan is to phase out the volunteers as soon as we can.
Okay.
Okay?
Hey, Mary, are you still there?
Mary?
I thought I was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can we have Pete from the ACC now?
Can I butt in before the ACC? This is part of ACC. I'm a friend of the ACC, as Pete knows. He and this sidekick right there, his assistant.
Sidekick.
She's super. She was my choice. My pick for the ACC. I love her. All right, here we go. I went down Coral Street
Where?
4 times. Coral. Is it Coral?
Coral, okay.
Coral Street 4 times, 4 different days. I saw trash out there. Now, you speak of how volunteers need to be checked, the background check. I don't need a background check to pick up trash when I see it on the street for 4 different days. Somebody need to get out there and do it. Because this is our community, we don't wanna see trash all over the place. Our maintenance staff normally would go out and do that, but they're not here now. So I went to a neighbor, I knocked on the neighbor's door, I asked to use a rake and a shovel, and I got down and picked up all the trash, it was all over the person's yard that had left it here. And a couple of members of the community came up here and made some good comments and thank yous. And whether you know it or not, I really appreciate it because Pete and I said we wanted to do something good for the community and if I would help, and I am.
Thank you all.
Sandy Valleys, Summit Drive. Anyway, talking about Earl, and the trash pickup, I'm the one who always calls the county prisoners to come and pick up the trash on Sunrise, Coral, and Edgewood, because it is embarrassing. And I was driving down Sunrise this afternoon, and I thought, well, I guess I'm gonna have to call the county again. So when you see the prisoners out picking it up, it's me who is called.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, prisoners came and sandbagged the creek between my house and the next house, so I was very grateful after the April rain that they did come. Okay, can we have the ACC now?
Pete, before you start on the ACC, I'd like to see if I can make a motion for us to table the ACCs on the votes, basically because the board and the ACC really needs to have a meeting and we need to sit down and talk about the grandfather policy on these votes. We have several legal opinions that if we disallow for one and we're allowing for other, regardless of why we're doing it or how we're doing it, it opens us up for a liability position. So I'd like to make a motion to the board that we table the ACC variances on the votes.
Which one would that be?
That would be, that would be D, E, and F.
I second.
Isn't there something in the rules that if it extends past 60 days, that then it becomes approved without any board intervention? So if we extend this, it's gonna automatically approve.
Well, we can extend it to the next meeting.
Some of these aren't new.
Yeah,
We
some
can
of these are old.
We can extend it to the next well, we
It
had a
depends on when they filed their paperwork.
Sir, we had a meeting last month, they won on it last month, but when we went to the attorneys, it's absolutely true what Mr. Crouch said. The attorneys say that you cannot have grandfathered votes and then ding people for the same, I'm gonna say offense, but that's not a good word. So we really need some clarification. In other words, grandfathering doesn't stand. So we need to either address the grandfathering. In other words, it should be everybody or nobody. But right now it's selective and it's discriminatory.
That is not true.
Well,
Excuse me. This issue has been discussed for many years. There are legal precedents of these. This is nothing new to the Holly by the Sea concerning votes and issues, long-term parking, and da-da-da. We have done this. It's been done. It's been to legal.
So you don't have to have a discussion about this with the ACC. Two of these on here, Conan and Hart, previous board members, they're well aware of what the policies are, okay? And as far as this guy on 2nd Street, he has a side driveway. And by law, Florida statutes, he's entitled to have that boat there because the front of his house is designated as Second Avenue.
Second Court.
Mr. Todd, is he here?
I'm here, I'm his wife.
Okay. Is it Williams? Oh. I'm sorry, what's your name?
Black, Carla Black.
Black, okay. I don't
Todd
know why I
Black,
had.
William, Todd Black.
Anyways, according to the Florida statutes, okay, you have one front, you have two sides, and one back. She has every legal right to have her boat on the side. Now, what Conan and Hart are doing, I have no idea. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me because they don't live on corner lots at all. So you wanting to have a conversation with ACC is wrong. You need to make this decision now. You have any questions concerning the laws and stuff, I'll be more than happy to fill you in, because I'm an expert.
How about if I would withdraw my motion to table the vote, sir?
I think we have further down, in the meeting, because the ACC has sort of exploded and we're spending so long on the ACC, I think we're gonna have another meeting this month for the ACC. So I think that's fine that we get a word from our attorney now.
Okay.
You know, because it's only gonna be a couple of weeks.
Well, now you have a new attorney.
We
who's
have a
not-
new attorney, yeah.
Who's not aware of our policies, and they need to be aware of the long-term and short-term
Right.
policies
But
that we already have in place.
okay, he will be looking through all the documents, he's got all the documents.
Okay, so you're
Okay.
you're gonna have another meeting then with the ACC?
No, with another board meeting.
No, we're gonna have board meeting. with the
Following,
ACC.
yeah, we're gonna do it in the board meeting.
All right.
So, did we have a second on this one? Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. Okay. Okay, so the motion is to postpone D, E, and F pending legal advice from Crew and Crew. Okay, will those in favor? Will those in favor say aye? Aye.
Aye.
Are we not gonna have discussion on the motion that was just made?
Yeah, come on up.
Well,
Okay,
what are the
before I
dates
take-
of those applications, or any of those gonna fall outside the 60?
No, the earliest date was March 10th. March 10th is the latest date. That is for Mrs. Black.
D or not?
Sure, please,
Second court.
please, sorry, Jen. Can we
Only
have,
other month
can we
was
have
less than
order,
that.
please? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just asking Pete, what the date, you mentioned a date, and I just. Is this one? So G, 2551 Second Court, was initiated on March 10th?
That's the date it was received in the architectural office.
Okay, so we have
That's the
60
date we
days
go
from
by.
that date?
60 days
Till
from that
May.
date.
Okay. But our plan is to have another board meeting just for this stuff.
Yes,
We're not waiting till then.
no.
That application?
Okay, so anybody else?
Yeah, actually, Chris is just bringing it to, it's 60 days of being reviewed by a committee. That's basically what we're saying. So just because the board doesn't look at it, it's 60 days of a committee looking at it. So let's just say you didn't meet, and we made a recommendation, and you don't come back and meet on it, it goes by what we say, not by what you said, because we didn't get back to meet. So just because, let's just say, you guys can't get together in another 3 weeks or a month, it's not gonna just automatically pass. It's gonna go back to
Okay.
what the architectural committee recommended.
Okay,
And just so everybody, we recommended that we denied all of them.
okay. Okay, we understand that.
I'm sorry, Pete, you're saying your recommendation tonight is to deny? the
Our
two-
recommendation is to
All right.
deny all three of them, yes.
Okay.
So if we don't have a meeting within the 60-day period of all of them, they're all just denied.
Right. We just said we will.
Okay, but March sixth.
No, look,
No.
look, in the event said board or its designated committee fail to approve or disapprove such design, a location within 60 days. So it says, not just the board has to approve or disapprove it, it says designated committee. We've already
We've
already denied it. As the ACC, we've already denied it.
Okay, so what is this, what is the date that we're going
March
from?
10th was the latest.
So it'll be May 10th.
Okay,
It'll be
so-
60 days from
Okay,
March 10th.
yeah, we'll meet before then.
I just want to say something because I was up here the last time when, I guess our usage privileges or whatever wasn't voted on. I mean, y'all decided not to suspend them or whatever. We were told to, resubmit the variance and that it would get passed by the board. That's what we were told. That's what we've done I mean, I've had 12 or I think, no, it's like 9 or 10 neighbors sign the little form to go with the variance saying they want the boat parked in their driveway. We have 2 houses that face our backyard and they don't want the boat parked back there because it goes it's right in their face. They don't, every time they open the door, there's our boat. Off to the side, it's not in their face. It's in front of a vacant lot. I've come up here several times on this issue, and I mean, I'm willing to come back again, but it's just it's just gotten to the point where I just want to throw my hands up. And our house has a side drive. We aren't like,
Hang on 1 minute. Please, can we listen to what the person at the podium is saying? Can we have some courtesy? Let's not talk while someone else is speaking. Thank you. Go ahead.
there is a home down the street from us that has their boat parked in their driveway. It's not in front of their garage doors. It's on the side of their house. We don't have that privilege with the way our house is laid out. We don't have that privilege to park anywhere else. It's either in our driveway or in the backyard. We don't have the privilege of, I don't know how to explain, but you know how some homes you can maneuver it beside the house, the way our home isn't laid out that way. So we're seeing from many different areas. And our neighbor, I see my neighbors every day. They're the people I want to please. So they asked us not to park it in the backyard, so we're not at this point. So I guess my point is, it's just a little frustrating. I keep coming up here and it kind of keeps getting pushed off, and I understand we want to look at the legal and the grandfathering because we have several people that have, and that's another issue, is if they're allowed to, why aren't we? And I agree with that. It's just a little bit frustrating, and I know everybody's kind of passionate about the boat situation, which is kind of funny to me, but anyway.
And I'm not. I feel that we live in Florida, we live in a boating community. Boats to me in a driveway should not be an issue.
Let me just recap basically what the real big issue is here. It's not only Mrs. Black's property that we're talking about. We're talking about everybody. And basically what the issue is, it's an architectural policy that's in place, okay? It says it cannot be parked in front of the garage door. That's what it says. That's what previous boards have said. My job is to actually enforce that, okay? That's what it says in the covenants. It has nothing to do with personality, person. I'm just trying to do the job. The problem is the grandfather ones are out there.
That's the problem.
Now, they have to check legally. If they're out there, they may have to give it to everybody. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to give everybody the right to park? Now you say, yeah, maybe, and you have that opinion. But you know what? It's not your opinion.
I know, I understand.
People bought here because they have covenants. Who is it for 3 people to say, no, you can park your boat in the driveway. That's not why people bought here. They bought here because there's rules. It has to be thought about. It shouldn't be something that should be a knee-jerk reaction. You have to think it through. The rules are very clear. Back years ago, there were no boats allowed. You wanted a boat, you go park it in the boatyard. So it's been watered down year after year. You say, all right, well, they're grandfathered in. It's not fair, right? Not fair to me. What about all those people we may put driveway extensions in and build boathouses in the backyard to put it in? What about those poor people? You gotta take that into consideration too. This is not just, well, he has it, I should have it too. If that's the case, you do that. You don't screw all those people that spent money putting in this stuff because we required it to.
But do you realize that they did not have to do that? That they were told they had to do that, and there was no paying policy in place at all?
Well, no, the covenants now hasn't been changed. It's never been changed. It's been watered down. It said no boats visible.
Okay.
So
How about the 4,000 sheds you got here? It says clearly you can't have them.
Order, please,
Maybe
order.
you should read it.
Please, order, order,
Well,
order,
why are the boats a big deal?
order.
Oh,
Please,
listen, I didn't write the covenants.
can we come to order?
Rita.
This is why,
You
this
see
is
where it says no
why.
sheds allowed? Holly wanna see how the shed.
Vinny, okay, this is why, before we make this decision, we want to get some legal advice, and then whatever they say, whatever it is, that'll be what happens.
Boy, will
And
say
then we-
anything you want them to say.
What?
Sure.
Alex, I think that Pete and maybe even Dan Ramsey and us should talk to the lawyer. He knows a lot, Dan Ramsey knows a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I think, nothing against you, but if you just sent an email to the lawyer and said, you know, and ask them a question.
No, I think this
they
is.
miss things.
Sure, I
You
think,
know,
I
they
think
can't
this
know
is,
they don't know
yeah.
all these little idiosyncrasies and things and caveats that have taken place over the years. Whatever, I don't know how they affect things or not, you know, if they matter or not, but these 2 guys seem to know an awful lot. And I think we need for them to participate if we're gonna go to the lawyer, somehow they have to be involved.
Yeah, I think this is gonna have to be a discussion with the
This
lawyer.
issue has
yeah.
already gone to the lawyer. The lawyer that isn't here anymore, she already had this issue.
Okay.
What'd she say?
Mike Hart, 2016 Citrus. Like Chrissy, I was one, you know, Dan made point, I spent $4,000 to get a variance before my house was done. So I've been I've been, as per the rules since I got my boat, I have a permit to park in the backyard. My request, if you would read it, says, I have an immaculate house, I have a sport boat that looks, I have a huge driveway that would never displace a boat. All I'm asking for is between Labor Day, or Memorial Day and Labor Day, because I use the boat 2 to 3 times a week, to put that thing, I mean, I can push it behind the gate, that's fine. But again, my request was simply 3 months, probably going to be used 3 times a week, so that would supersede any rules anyway. But again, in case it's raining and I can't do the thing for a week, I always call the ACC in advance when I do move my boat out for maintenance and take it away. So again, I think Chrissy and I are in the same boat. We don't have derelict boats that have been in violation like that. I believe the first one's been on the driveway forever now. I understand that side driveway thing. I'm fully aware of that. But I mean, I don't see why there can't be a decision on mine. I mean, Angers had said that, you know, it's kind of a slippery slope, but, you know, I mean, I wanted to put in the variance to do the right thing. But again, I probably wouldn't even have to do that because I move it every 3 days, push it back. I'm already starting from ground zero the day I push it back. So again, you know, I would make some sort of call or at least give us a time frame when it will be, you know, when some decision will be made. Because I see boats all over the place that are derelict in my mind. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be before the next meeting, definitely. I would say probably in the next 2 weeks. Because somehow we gotta clear these ACC issues. Anyone else can speak on this?
I'd like to speak on this.
Yeah, Pete Peters, 2861 PGA. Just, again, look at the original covenants. Boats, RVs, trailers, campers, and commercial vehicles out of sight, enclosed in a permanent structure. Unless, and the unless is whatever rules we adapt for one of these long-term parking permits. The question is, whatever policy you take is, again, how are you gonna be equitable? If it's a corner lot, it can be parked in the driveway. If it's a vacant lot across the street from the vacant driveway. But what about 2 blocks down when across from the driveway is not a vacant lot and they don't want to look out their front window at a boat? And it's not just boats. It's RVs, it's commercial vehicles. What if somebody wants to start parking their pickup, well, not pickup trucks, no, I'm thinking more like their semi-tractor trailer trucks, or they happen to drive a honey wagon because they pump septic, or, you know, where is the line going to be drawn that is equitable? I moved into this community 14 years ago, 13 years ago, because I read the covenants and I was under the impression that campers, trailers, RVs, boats and stuff would not be visible and people would keep their lawns up.
You live in Hidden Creek, you already have that.
I still drive through the rest of it.
Well, stay over there.
Different covenants than Holly by the Sea.
Yes, and sheds, by the way, are allowed in West Holly by the Sea. They're just not allowed in Hidden Creek.
That's correct.
It states. But the question is, where are you going to draw the line? Is it just going to be corner lots? Is it just going to be boats? How do you draw that line? Because the covenants address campers, utility trailers.
Come on, Pete, we've already been down this road.
Covenants
You
does
were
not
the
allow
one
that.
that my
Covenants
ass.
allows it.
And you know what the rules are.
I do know what the rules are, and that's why we wrote
So
something.
why are you bringing them up again?
Because they need to, you need to see where this is gonna go.
The
If
covenants cannot be changed unless it's approved by the government entities, FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, anything else. If you make a change, it has to be approved by them before the covenants can be approved, because this is retroactive.
No, the covenants say
The covenant-
enclosed in a permanent
No,
structure.
it does not.
Yes, it does.
Order.
And there is no definition.
Well, how about there says you can't have a shed at all?
Okay, please, can we have silence? Can we have silence, please, so that we can listen to the person at the podium?
Kevin here, Muirfield Drive. The handout that I,
Okay, just 1 second till they quiet.
Where's my children right now?
Can we please give some courtesy to the person at the podium? He's standing here waiting. If you want to talk, can you go outside the door? This is not a discussion group.
Did you hear her? Hey,
Excuse me, sir.
with the hat
I'm
on,
calling
you are
with the
a
hat on.
disruptive influence right now. So
Excuse me?
you said you are a disruptive influence right now. Please be quiet.
No.
What is your name, sir?
What is my name?
Yes.
And that's important to what?
That's important so that I can recognize you, that you've been called to order.
My name is Chris, last name Hale. C-A-I-L-E.
Okay? Then I call the member Chris Hale to order, please.
Hale. C as in cat.
Okay.
A as in alpha, I as in igloo, E as in
Hale.
Edward.
Sir, do you wish to participate in this meeting?
I'm listening to this BS, is what I'm listening to. Please go on.
Will you be quiet, sir? Okay, go ahead, sir.
okay. Cavalier, Muirfield Drive. I put together a little handout because I saw this was gonna be on the agenda. Article, like Pete said, Article 7, Section 10 talked about, just summarizing that a boat will be kept, in an enclosed permanent structure, or there'll be a special permit issued by the architectural committee. Now, over the years, this has been massaged and all until just recently, where a policy came out for parking your boat. We already have a policy that says where you can park your boat and how you park your boat. Part of that says that you will park it on the side of the house. Obviously, the corner lot is partially an exception to that. But a minimum 10 feet from the corner of the house back. So that boat can't just be side, it has to be set back from the front of the house. So if her driveway is 10 feet or more from the corner of the house, then more power to it. Now, as a board, under Article 6, Section 1, you have the authority to grant special variances on top of any and every rule that Holly by the Sea goes by, provided there is a hardship. And that hardship is specified in here. It just says that it has to be a hardship. And that would result in a hardship is the actual wording. Now, a hardship is not an inconvenience. A hardship is, I can't put my kids in school because my boat's going to be in the way of the school bus or something. I mean, there has to be a justifiable hardship, not just because somebody asked for it or because it's an inconvenience or because it's a nuisance to them to have to park their boat on the side or in the backyard, as the policy that previous boards have approved to use for parking the boats. It's not that we're denying people parking their boats, it's that they have certain places and locations to try and maintain the value and the appeal and the look of Holly by the Sea. I, for one, don't want to see a boat parked in every garage and every driveway throughout the community. Just don't want to do it. I don't care. And part of the being able to grant variances has a limit that it can't be detrimental to the community. So you can't issue a variance even if somebody has a hardship if it's detrimental to the community. So I've printed it out for you to review and where it's at in the covenants and what our policy is on the applications. So, they've applied for the permit. The permit was issued, and they chose not to park it per the policy. And by doing that, then the ACC recommended some punitive issues for the person for violating the policy. And now, they haven't officially asked for a variance. They just resubmitted the paperwork for a parking permit. So the whole thing is just kind of disintegrated into chaos, and nobody's following what's already here and on paper. Thank you.
I'd like to comment on some of the things you said, and they were true. But when we talk about a hardship, what truly is a hardship, and the board gets to decide whether it is or isn't. I don't think individuals do. And as far as we did pass an exception to the rule, or like you said, as a board, and we chose to allow a parking permit. That went a little further than I thought it would, but one of the things I'm also curious about, and he just mentioned before, enforcement of the covenants and rules are clear. That's not quite true either. And I'll tell you why it isn't true. Number one, the rules that we have, some of those rules, and I have said this for years and years, they're outdated, they don't work. And I'll give you one, for instance, at one point in time, I quoted that, people that were gay and they wanted to use the facility, but our rules say you have to be married. So I stuck by those rules. The law's changed now, but our covenants have stayed the same, okay? Our covenants do need to be changed, and they have to be flexible also. I think when your neighbors tell you, listen, I don't care where you park it as long as it's not in the backyard. These are the people that he just spoke about, the people that you live around. You park it in the front yard, you're creating a problem. Or, I'm sorry, backyard. You're creating a problem, not solving one. I think the board's responsibility is to try to alleviate some of those problems. The problems of boat parking was so difficult to solve that our attorney said, look, yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't you have a policy? And she approved it and signed it. That's why I said, I hope you don't waste your money going down that same path that's already been down. People have been down. One of the interesting things too when it comes to architectural, I recently called about a rule that was violated. And I was told, well, we can't we can't do anything about it because the full-time people quit. And I'm like, really? Well, I called here and asked the architectural people, it was about clearing 2 lots that I own, and they told me you couldn't answer it. So I don't know who you go to, and I'm not quite sure how these rules are clear when I couldn't get an answer from the architectural. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask a question to Pete first, before Barry gets up here? There is a policy that has been assigned by an attorney and put into place at Holly City?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think it's signed by the attorney.
It's
It
not
was
signed, it was vetted by the
vetted by the attorney and
Okay.
voted on with the board. I believe even Pat's board. And Pat, you're saying that the rules are not they're outdated. They were just put in. This is probably one of the
Not
newest
clear about
policies.
all the rules.
Well,
The
you
covenants.
made it sound like
The
it was.
covenants.
The parking policy that we're talking about is probably one of the most up-to-date policies we have, which was voted on by your board.
Agreed.
Okay.
Parking for anything.
Right. And just
And you have a copy of it in what I gave you, section 2.
Was it a policy or?
Parking
Policy.
Okay,
Recommendation.
my concern is when we went to see the attorneys, I asked the same question of all 5 attorneys, and they were uniform in what they said. That's why I want to, in an abundance of caution, just check this out, and then we will have a rule, and then we'll have something we can stick to that's fair and equitable, and we don't have this one got it, this one didn't get it.
Yeah, everybody has to understand, we're trying to be as fair as possible to everybody. It's very difficult to say, these people are grandfathered, but I want mine. Why can he do it, but I can't?
Yeah.
We all understand that. We're trying to cut it off with saying the grandfather ones, but if people start complaining about it, where do we stop? Let everyone do it? Then you screw the people that came here because of the
The
covenant.
precedence has been set by grandfathering and giving unlimited parking permits that were given back in 2004, 2005, where you could park a boat on your driveway forever. You've set a precedent, you can't go back on that precedent.
I didn't say that. This was right.
Okay,
Question, I just had a question. So how long has some of these requests been with you guys?
March
The
10th.
latest one was March 10th.
March 10th. So the last one was March 10th.
Right.
So that's almost a month, over a month. So you haven't. Why haven't we gone to the lawyer? Why do members have to come to a meeting and then wait and go to a lawyer and wait for you guys to do that?
It's a process. It goes to the architectural committee first before it comes to the board.
What's the turnaround time expected?
2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, the architectural committee meets.
Okay. All right.
And then from there, it goes to the board meeting. So it could be within a month.
You've disapproved them, case
okay,
closed.
Correct.
okay, we're gonna,
Unless they have forbearance.
okay. It's been motioned and seconded to postpone this pending lawyer review, and we will meet again in an architectural meeting, but a board meeting, an architectural board meeting.
Open.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it won't be open with the attorney, but when we vote, it will be open. Okay, so those in favor of postponing? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Said not open to the public.
Okay. No, the
Now,
meeting will be
why is the attorney meeting
open.
not open to the public? It's not dealing with employment, and it's not dealing with current litigation.
Just one thing I want to say, when I was on the ACC, we did agree that if, like Hart, like he wants to, 2 or 3 days in his driveway, whatever he wants to do, clean it or whatever, spit polish it, I don't care. That's fine. If he just notifies the ACC office and tells them, hey, I've got my boat in the driveway and I'm gonna be working on it for 2 or 3 days. It's the same thing that we said with trailers, because I own a trailer. And, I go camping, I come home, it takes me 2 or 3 days to get it back where it needs to go. So something like that doesn't need to be approved, okay? And that's not what it says in here that he wants to do. He wants it in his driveway.
Yeah.
That's what it says, so that's what I go by. But if he just wants to work on it for 2 or 3 days, we've already said in the ACC that would be fine, just call.
Yeah, he said 3 months, so.
Well,
He
he's
said 3
saying
months.
long term here.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously
Okay.
a short term solution.
Okay, now,
We'll let the ACC make that decision.
because the staff have worked such long hours, I want to close this meeting at 8:45. So let's try and move on here. Can we take something in here that's a little bit uncontroversial. Can we do number C?
Sure.
Just-
26.
Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry, we've got the PowerPoint, we've got to do A first.
You need to sign back.
No, you don't have to sign, just click on it.
Just click on it.
I am. It's
Click
not-
on the little square in the middle.
No, the
You
square in
only
the
have to do
middle.
the PowerPoint if there's a conflict.
Just take too much time.
Okay.
That's too short.
Okay, it's a short PowerPoint, hopefully.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. I'm Michael.
Are you gonna do the PowerPoint?
Oh.
Is that one on here? Let's see.
This one's not on here. This one's not on our agenda.
It is, Castlewood.
That says.
6701, no, that's where they live. Is that where you live?
No, that's the address where he has the infraction on the fence.
Okay.
We live at 2792 Camden Drive, Mike
Oh.
and Patricia Holmes.
Okay, wait a minute, you're not on the agenda.
Yes, we are.
Which one?
Where are you?
A.
That says
That's
6701 Castlewood.
Well, that's, Mr. Manning and his fence, right there.
That's me and my fence, 6701 Castlewood.
Okay,
And we're giving our portion of it, because it's affecting us at 2792 Camden.
okay, this is all A. Okay, we got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Next.
go on.
I know you can't see this, but this is just a overlay of our lot and where Mr. Manning's fence is in the back. The next slide. I'm trying to give some views of the fence from Codell. This is Camden Drive. Behind us is Codell. Castlewood is farther down the street, around the parallel. Next one. This is a view from Camden Drive of the fence that was installed with the ugly side out, rough side out. This is a view of it from our front door. This is a view of it from our lot. You can see the rough framing is out. There it is again. Okay, the back up one. At one of the prior ACC meetings, Mr. Manning said that he wasn't able to comply with the lot restrictions because he felt he was in an adversarial position with his neighbor, and that was the first we had heard of it. So I've come to correct that today, and also let Mr. Manning know that he can have permission to get on our lot to whatever he needs to do to his fence, make repairs, replacements, staining. It's not an issue. So next one. He also made a comment that his fence, like my fence, what's the difference my posts are showing. This is a different style fence where the posts are incorporated into the runs, and that is the smooth side out. There's a picture of the rough side in on my property. You see the supporting 2x4s, and there it is back again.
We're supposed to be on the
Mm-hmm. And that is, okay, move forward. And that is the view of my fence and our side yard abutting to Mr. Manning's fence there on his back run. This is, he also had a hardship variance, obviously, because we got double and triple fences on our back lot. So he was able to go ahead and put the smooth side in there, but from that point out to the street, I'll go back. Keep going all the way back and show the street again. So he was able to go all the way out to the street there. From that point out to the street, he's supposed to put the smooth side out, but he did not. So we're asking that today that the code is enforced. We have lot restrictions and covenants is in place. I mean, it's a small thing, but we need to keep it uniform. That's one of the reasons we moved here, is because of covenants, and they're very clear on everything. And we came to this neighborhood because there's deed restrictions and covenants, and we start swaying away from these things and losing control over it. It's not good for this association. So, but Mr. Manning can have this. I had this notarized that he can come on my property at any time to make his repairs. That's really all I got to say.
I'm gonna put the plain picture up. Okay. No, that's all right. I'm gonna take this one out. I'll put this one down. Go on, Pete. I'm just changing
Can I just explain?
I wish you would.
6701 Castlewood, basically what we're asking is, let me just wait till the picture gets up there so everybody can see it. The ACC recommends that the homeowner change the fence to smooth side out past the chain link fence. So it's a partial variance of it would approve. The part behind the chain link fence, he could keep it smooth side into him. The part that is actually past the chain link fence needs to be turned out. That's his ACC's recommendation.
Pete, did he file for the variance to build the fence that way to start with because the chain link was there? Is that what it was?
No. No, actually, I believe he came in as a retro. Originally, you had the application in, I believe, just a minute ago. Right? You had it in as a builder, and then you came back as a homeowner and took out a new application, right? I know you got an email from Dawn Lawrence before she left stating that it was okay, in previous boards, they okayed putting a smooth side in behind the chain link fence, which is what we approve, or recommend to approve.
This thing's gotten so confusing, I'm not even sure. All I know, before I built my fence, I came to that office, the ACC office, explained to the head person, Dawn Lawrence, about what I was doing. And explained there was, the neighbors had two fences. There wasn't room to get in to build mine the way everybody wants it with smooth boards out because there wasn't not enough room. I said, I'm gonna build my back fence, boards facing in. She said, but you're gonna build the rest of it, the front and sides, board facing out. I said, yes, I am. She said, well, there's no need for any paperwork because the board has approved similar things. I explained that to Pete. They said, and I can understand why. They said, well, that's just hearsay. So it took me quite a while to track down Dawn Lawrence, who has moved to another state. I explained to her, and she sent an email confirming that I came in and talked to her. She told me no need for variance, no need to do it. Change anything. Go ahead and build it the way you said you're gonna build it. And I think you have that email, more or less an affidavit, with her personal contact information, her email address and a phone number for verification on that. So in my opinion, I've done all I was supposed to do. I came, explained, asked what do I need to do paperwork-wise, and she told me, she turned me away. She said, no, you don't need to do anything. It's just common sense that you would build it that way. And that's what I did. So in my opinion, I've already been, I built what I said I was gonna build, which was okay by the head ACC person at the time, and there is an email there confirming that.
Thank you. Okay, could I have a comment from Pete on this one? Go on, yeah.
Okay, actually from Dawn, it is clear that she did say it's okay behind the chain link fence. That's all it says. Even after he's saying it, I took it as after the chain link fence, it will be smooth side back out. That's how I understand it.
But I think that email from her verifies that.
So what is the ACC recommending?
We recommend the same thing that we've been consistent with everybody else. Everybody else, we do chain link fence is fine. You can't get behind there, we'll allow it to be smooth side in. Everybody else, from that point on, we make them change it. It's clearly visible from the road. That picture's from the road right there.
Can I read from her letter?
She's no longer in
Yeah, she's no longer employed.
But this, she turned me away. She told me, she says, we discussed the option of building boards facing in near the chain link fence and facing out beyond the chain link fence would not look uniform and thus not a good idea. This is Dawn speaking. I then told them to go ahead as planned. So that's what I did.
She has no control.
Well, if you have your.
I'm just, that's,
Okay. Let them comment. Can we comment briefly on this, because we have so much to get through tonight?
Alex, I'm gonna address this to the total board, and anybody that likes it, fine. The ACC has to start getting their act together and start being consistent. They're not consistent. ACC is not consistent. We're getting conflicting information about fences, inside, out. We know that the rough side goes to the person that owns the property. Smooth side goes out. That's what it always has been, that's what it is in the county. The other thing is, ACC continuously making their own little in-house rules. I'm gonna dump it on you and I don't care. Over on Water Street, in the covenants, it says, only duplex homes. We can't blame the builder when the ACC allows them to violate the covenants. They violated it. The covenant says no, nothing but duplex homes on Water Street. They didn't come before the board to get approval. They just let the builder do it. That's wrong. We need to be consistent. They're not consistent. This is a prime example how the ACC need to get their act together.
Okay, thank you.
Good. I'm not sure that Mr. Manning didn't build these folks' house. Is that true?
Correct.
The one, I guess it was, Dolphin Builders. But anyway, this is the prime example of these folks here when their house was built, the fence was put in properly. Like you don't put a fence in your front yard. Now what the architectural people has done, this guy's got a fence in their front yard. That's wrong. It should be taken down. Look at it. It's in their front yard.
But if their house is positioned,
It don't matter about that. I live on the corner lot down from me.
right, but if you turn your house sideways, the neighbor's lot.
But you cannot put a fence in your front yard. And that's what I'm saying. They let you guys, whoever approved this, let him put a fence in their front yard. They should have stopped where you run the fence there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I have, what was the ACC recommendation? To deny or to accept this variance?
Partial variance to approve the smooth side in behind the chain link fence.
I'd like to bring up one more item, if I may. I know this is dragging out. As I said, I've done my due diligence and I got approved for what's there. The other, I think, is the downside of building boards out that no one's talked about. The last house I lived in, the back fence was boards out. I couldn't maintain that fence because the neighbors had shrubs that grew up so big, 7 or 8 feet tall. I couldn't get to the boards to maintain them. There were briars growing under the fence, over the fence, and through the boards into my yard, which I was helpless to do anything about. They weren't in violation, I wasn't in violation, but I could not maintain my fence because the boards were facing out. That's just another something to consider.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody on the board want to say anything about this one? No? No?
I do have one thing that I'd like to say. Does the fence go from his yard all the way out to the street, so that's in front of his house, right?
To the property line.
It goes to the property line?
Yep.
So it's not out in front of his house?
No, it's totally in his backyard.
It is up.
The problem is he has a corner lot, so he has the corner lot, it's on a totally different street. It's just the way it's designed. So if he can't have that fence, he can't have any fence. Basically, his whole backyard is almost in that front yard, to the side road. Just the way it's positioned. His property
Is
like
there
this.
any documentation that the ACC has that